There are 3 key stages to launching a glamping or unique camping experience. There's the planning stage. This is when you get your permissions, your budget in place, your finances. If you've got investors, this is when you're going to be trying to get them secured. You'll be looking at your land, your structure design, and your customer experience, thinking about what people will experience from the moment they arrive at your property. Then the second stage is the building stage. You'll be sorting out your materials, your contractors, your marketing and booking systems. I always say that when you start building the site, that's when you start building your marketing. And this is a very, very complex stage. Many people underestimate how much time and effort this will take. So when they come towards the end of the building stage, that's when they start implementing the marketing stage. But by this point, it's actually quite late. Then we go into the third stage, which is the launch stage. There's only one launch. There's only one time your business will be starting. There's only one time your business will be starting its operation and getting in touch with customers, creating that hype. And this is the launch stage. It's the most momentum that can be gained by a business at the beginning. And it's like a catapult. It's the natural swing of the project, and it helps you grow organically. This is an opportunity you must not miss. Unfortunately, because everyone's so tied up in stage 2, which is the building stage, by the time it gets to stage 3, the launch stage, they've often taken their eye off the ball. And this is why OTAs, online travel agents, can play a really huge role in the beginning stages of a small business that wants to continue momentum from the beginning. So this is especially important for smaller businesses who really want to focus on delivering a great service and don't necessarily have the time, money or energy to fully commit to their marketing, the most important element. This is when an OTA can do all the heavy lifting for you while you focus on what you need to do. So you go to your OTA, you upload a stunning set of images displaying your new business, you get your descriptions perfect, you hone the language, you pay attention to your pricing, and this is all so that you can stand out on a platform full of customers already looking for short stays like yours in your location. Yes, it's definitely the place to be at certain points of your business development and most often at the launch stage. But what if I was to tell you that in some cases the playing field is a little bit uneven and some OTAs have been starting to bully the business owner? They've been using ownership grabs to take control of images and descriptions for their own gain. Shocking, right? Yes. This has really started increasing since the pandemic. And yes, we all need to do our due diligence before we sign up to OTAs to make sure we're not signing up with the wrong ones. But this can often be overlooked by a busy business owner and their team who just want to get the bookings. So what do you need to look out for? And what happens if an OTA tries to do an ownership grab on your content and your business information? How can you overcome that? This is episode 12. Welcome to the Glamping Americas podcast, the place for inspiration about the business of upscale camping, glamping and luxury outdoor guest accommodations. I'm Sarah Riley from the Glamping Academy, and I'm working with my friends at the Glamping Show Americas to share everything you need to know about new trends, events, business models and investment potential in the rapidly growing world of luxury camping that delivers an experience. Interest in this industry is exploding, so if you want to be the first to find out what's hot and what's not, Subscribe here and check out the show notes for more exciting news and links. And be sure to add the next Glamping Show Americas to your calendar for the 1st and 2nd of October 2024 near Denver, Colorado. I can't wait. Hello, and thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you here. I wanted to share something with you today. It's something that we've been talking about in my Startup and Grow Club because it's really impactful on the small business owner in hospitality. And personally, I think it's really unfair because I think the online travel agents are taking advantage of small business owners to their own gain. They are not thinking about anyone else other than themselves and making their own profits, but they are using the content of the small business owner's listing to actually make more money in their own platform. So this is what you need to know about it. But let me first tell you how I discovered this. I was planning to stay in a property that I'd stayed in before, and I got in touch with the owner directly and said I'd like to book a stay. And I was doing some research in the area, and they said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, we've sold our property, we're not renting it out anymore." So I said, okay, fair enough, that's fine. I'll probably, because I was strapped for time, really needed to book something quickly, I decided to go on Airbnb. So when I was there, I was looking around in the area and I discovered that the house I wanted to stay in was still being advertised as available on Airbnb. So I went back to the previous owner and said, "Hey, do you have the contact details of the current owners? Because I think they're still renting it out and through Airbnb. So I just wondered if I could make contact through you." They so happened to live next door, so it was a really simple thing to do. They said to me, "Well, I'm sorry, but they live in it. They're not renting it out at all." So actually, that property should not be on Airbnb, and I don't know why it's on Airbnb. And the owner told me that when she looked at it, she discovered that they were using her pictures for when she owned it, and it was on Airbnb being offered before. So I said, okay, this is a bit suspicious. I wonder what's going on here. So I left it at that because obviously it was for her to take up with Airbnb. Then, not so long ago, we had a notice that TripAdvisor was changing its terms and conditions. And this was no trivial change. In fact, it was hugely significant. Basically, the terms and conditions they were changing, if someone signed up to that, it meant that TripAdvisor had access to all text and images from the hospitality owner's website, which they could harvest at any time and have perpetual, irrevocable, royalty-free, transferable, sub-licensable rights over. So this grab for content was something that they had made possible through changing the terms and conditions, putting them in front of the hospitality owner and saying, "Please sign up to our terms and conditions." And let's face it, who of us goes through these terms and conditions and reads everything and understands everything? It's very few of us, and even fewer of us who actually get a solicitor or lawyer to check them over before we sign. And in fact, many of us feel that we're actually being put in a position where we don't have any other choice but to sign. So actually, what's the point in checking? So it's totally understandable that people are actually signing this. And what they're doing is they're giving away their content. So when I heard about this, I started putting two and two together. And then I started doing a bit of research around it. And that's when I found out about ghosting. So in a nutshell, ghosting is this. You have put your property on an online travel agent platform. You've signed up to certain terms and conditions. You have decided then at a later date to take your property off. You no longer want to list with that online travel agent. However, a ghost listing of your business still remains on their platform, and the travel agent still uses your business, your images, your text to promote their platform and to attract bookings for all the other properties on it. So if a customer is looking around and decides that they want to book your property, they click on it. Because your property no longer is listed on there, it will say this property is fully booked, and it will give some alternatives that people can look at. So not only does this mean that you don't get any publicity through the images that stay on the platform, but also if people maybe could get in touch with you because they know who you are, they know your business, and they do actually have a direct telephone number for you, for them they'll be thinking, oh, they're fully booked. Well, okay, I'll see if I can find someone else. So this means that you might actually lose bookings as a result. And so all of this is really negative to you, the hospitality owner. This is of real concern to business owners, especially small business owners who are working so hard to get the bookings that they need to make the profit, especially after such a difficult few years. But there are things you can do. First of all, you need to figure out if you're being ghosted in the first place. One of the ways you can do this is to do a very clever image search using Google. Now, this is something I did all the time when I was working on various books. We identified pictures of structures we wanted to include in the books, but obviously we needed to find the photographer to get their permission to use the images, and also the owner to get the permission to use their property in the books. So we would do an image search to find out all over the web where that image had been listed, and ultimately we would always find the details for the owner and would be able to contact them and then negotiate with the photographer to use those images. So Google image search, you just need to go to Google, a search page, and then just put in there Google image search, and it will come up with the image search platform. Then once you have had a look across the web at all the times your image has been used, you will start to identify places where you don't want it to be used. Now, there is a little bit of a warning here. Don't think that where your image has been used, that every single place is a bad thing. It's not. There's often a website or someone who's been writing a blog, or maybe a guest who has stayed, or a partner that you have been working with in the past with some PR, or maybe you've been working with a local business, a supplier of, say, hampers and food, and they've chosen to use your images and link to your business. And so sometimes you will find that your images have been used in a place that you didn't know about, but that is a really positive thing because you're getting something back too. And even in cases where your image has been used and the link has not been given to go to your website, all you need to do is contact them and say, hey, I see that you've used my images for my business. I'd really appreciate a link so that you can continue to use my images. And in most cases, people will actually include the link. And that's fantastic for your SEO and getting your business higher up the search engine rankings. It's definitely worth remembering that not every time it's been used, your images and text have been used, is a bad thing. So bear that in mind. Don't go throwing out emails left, right and centre telling people to cease using your images, because that won't be good for you. But what you need to do is look at those listings where your images and text have been used and assess, is it a positive thing that your business is being used in that way, or is it negative? Are you benefiting in any way, or are you not? So the next thing to do, if you find that your business has been linked to an OTA, an online travel agent, and yet you're no longer using them and you want them to remove your details, you need to first check the contract that you signed up to when you first signed up to that OTA. This will tell you whether you have a problem, because in that contract, if it uses wording around the fact that they have the right to use perpetually and exclusively and irrevocably your images, then you will need to take a slightly different approach when asking them to remove them. So once you have found out who's using your images that you're not happy with, you can do certain things to try and get them removed. And we did discuss this in great detail in the club because it's obviously something you need to keep control of. It's your business, they're your images, it's your brand, and so it's important that you keep hold of that. In fact, it's this unique brand that can help you to keep control. So one of the things you can do is make sure that your logo and your name of your business is trademarked. And if you have this trademarked, you can actually go and put a light watermark of your logo and your name in your image. So then if an OTA starts using your image with your trademark in the background as a watermark, you can approach them and say that it is trademark infringement, that they are using your image without your permission. All you need to do is you need to write a letter and say it's trademark infringement and give them a date, a deadline date when you would like them to remove it. So you can give the end of the month, you can give them a couple of weeks, whatever you think is reasonable. This is one way to do it. There's other ways as well. We can focus on trading standards. We can look at the consumer protection from unfair trading regulations. And this prohibits unfair commercial practices and it makes it a criminal offence. So it gives you certain powers to be able to approach these businesses, these big corporations that are using their strength and power to overcome you as the smallest business owner. Then you can also go to advertising standards. So this should be in most countries. And there's a precedent that has been set within the structure of these regulations, which actually says that after a certain amount of time, it is not reasonable to use another business's images and text for the benefit of another business that doesn't own them. So it means that you have much more power to ask them to remove these images and remove the content that you gave to them originally for a certain use, but then they are now using it for their benefit for another reason that you did not agree to. So this very much depends as well on the terms and conditions that you signed up to. So you must make sure whenever you are signing up to an online travel agent or any other business, look at those terms and conditions, read those terms and conditions and look for these words, whether they are asking for the right to use, whether it is irrevocable, whether it's perpetual or exclusive, and that they are asking for a license to use in whichever way they wish. I know that it's really quite a negative topic to be talking about, but it's really important too. It's really unfair that these big corporations are using small business in this way. And I think that that needs to be dealt with. And the only way we can deal with that is by raising awareness of it, but also allowing small businesses and business owners to understand that there are ways that you can get around this, that you can actually fight this, because it's not fair that they're using you in this way for their benefit. It's also worth doing a little bit of research from other business owners who have signed up to the OTA in the past, asking them what their experiences have been, if there have been any things that have happened that have caught them unaware, if they'd give any advice, all that kind of stuff. It's really useful. There was a particular problem with an OTA in a country that I have a lot of clients in, and what they were doing was actually taking over the business's Google My Business page, so that if a customer found that business online, they found at the top of the search results, the Google My Business results for that business, and a booking button had mysteriously appeared, which took the person, the searcher, the guest, the potential guest, to the OTA, rather than taking them directly to the business so that the guest could book with the business directly. They had actually managed to manipulate the code and managed to manipulate the way that the Google My Business page was being used, that it would no longer be directed to the business that owned that page, the Google My Business page, but instead were redirected to the OTA so that the bookings would be taken there. So this is a clearly unfair tactic that is being implemented by some larger corporations, and you really need to do your homework as to who is involved so that you don't get caught up in this, because getting that removed from your assets online is tricky. It is hard work, and you could actually lose business as a result. You'd certainly end up paying higher commissions than you needed to, because the guest or the potential guest is going via the OTA and paying for their holiday on their platform, which means that you're having to pay the commission fee. So I hope in some way that's helped. I certainly hope in some way that will give you a little bit of awareness about how online travel agents are using small businesses, and not in every case. This is not the case for every online travel agent. Certainly within the glamping industry, we have some much better travel agents, online travel agents, and they are much more supportive to the small business owner, and they don't have quite the same kind of negative approach to all of this. But there are a lot of larger ones which do. So please do your homework before you sign up to any contracts. Please make sure that you've done your research, that you trust that online travel agent, that you have it in writing exactly what to expect, and that you follow through to make sure that you're protected. So one of our club members, she has made it absolutely and utterly her priority that she is going to be attracting direct bookings from her guests directly to her and not going through online travel agents. And this is why. This is one of the reasons why, because of the unfair practices that are going on out in the industry, and particularly during the COVID period when there were lots of cancellations and problems between the guest and the owner, and there was an online travel agent in the middle as a third party who was raking some of the commissions for the booking, and there were all kinds of trouble around when that booking was cancelled, who got the money, who had the money to give the refund back to the guest, and it was just a nightmare. So this is another reason why people like Jane are really working hard to make sure that they get more direct bookings. And oh my goodness me, it's times like this when you hear about all of this unfair activity that's going on, that particularly Jane, she pats herself on the back and says, this is why I'm putting all this effort into generating direct bookings. And it is so true. This is why we do the hard work. This is why we encourage people to do it, to take control of their bookings, of their occupancy, to maintain the strength of communication between them as the host and the guest who's coming to stay, and to make sure that it's a really strong relationship, the connection is made, and it's not being shielded by an online travel agent who does not want you, the business owner, to speak to the guest. Why is that? Because they don't want the guest to come direct to you and actually purchase their stay directly with you, because it means they don't get the money. This is what their business model is built on, and this is why it's so unfair in so many cases. So if I were you, you should definitely follow Jane's example. Try your hardest to get as many direct bookings as possible, that you know exactly how that's done, you know how to increase it, you take the advice you need, and you know what? Do please ask me. I can signpost you in any way that you want to go to find out more about how you can take control and how you can do that for your business. I hope you found this useful, and I hope you apply this advice, because it's really important that you keep control of your business. And I hope as well that you join me back here again the next time I publish an episode. It's fantastic to have you join me. If you want to leave a review or put out a request for some content, then please do on whatever platform that you use. I'd love it if you did it on the iTunes or the Apple podcast, because that's really great for me. It's where I can find those reviews really easily and respond to you in a way that I will know that I'm giving you exactly what you need in terms of information and everything you want from this industry. So I hope you have a fantastic week and can join me here again soon.